Present.
Arlandu,
Here.
Hilberg,
Here.
Meadows,
Present.
Locke, Mathis, Sliger,
Present.
Thank you. Next, I would invite Rob to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom, are there anything to add or remove from the agenda?
I think we're good to go at this time.
Okay. All right, we are celebrating success. Jeff, I hear there's some good things that happened out at Grace McWing. Could you come up and fill us in? Oh, did I? You were moving a little too fast? Yeah, walk slow. It's all good.
Yeah.
I do a stand-up routine, but I'm terrible at it.
Oh, yeah?
Wow. Your timing is impeccable.
I live in Plainfield and a car drove off the road.
Take your time.
Oh, no.
No, take your time. No rush.
Well, hi, I appreciate your patience. I'm Jess from the American Heart Association, and I'm here today simply to say thank you and to share how incredible and impactful your staff and your community are. I've had the opportunity to partner with District 101 schools for the past 7 years, and I cannot say enough great things about their dedication, their kindness, and their energy. Everyone has always been super supportive of their partnership with the American Heart Association, but last year something happened in our community that hit us all a little harder than usual. I was on maternity leave when we did Mike's assembly, so I'm sorry. We lost one of our own, Mr. Mike Park from Alice Gustafson. Mike was pure fun and joy wrapped into one human, always excited to go all in on whatever he was doing. And he poured his heart and soul and even some slime into coordinating his Kids Heart Challenge program every year. If you aren't familiar, the American Heart Association has a free service learning program for schools called Kids Heart Challenge, teaching students how to keep their hearts happy, healthy, and fun in a unique way. Giving families the opportunity to engage together at home, learning hands-only CPR, how to spot the signs of a stroke, and an opportunity to give to a cause should they choose to. Schools also greatly benefit from and having access to our science-based resource library, including STEM and SEL, givebacks, and grant opportunities as well. Embedded in this program is a special initiative called Finn's Mission, celebrating the sweetest little heart hero, Finn, who by the age of 7 has had 18 surgeries to keep his heart healthy. He's survived and thrived through one stroke as well. Finn's Mission is where families walk through 7 tasks together, like signing up, sharing their page, learning hands-only CPR, etc. Last year, we rebranded this in Batavia, respectfully naming it Mike's Mission. Banners hung in every elementary school gym dedicating to Mr. Mike Park, and I'm proud to share that last year we had 85 students fully completing all 7 steps of Mike's Mission. Not only that, through the efforts of students engaged in these programs, in your district alone, you had 435 students engaged, 104 families who now know how to spot the signs of a stroke, 108 families who now know how to perform hands-only CPR to help in an emergency. Every year, approximately 350,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur, meaning that a bystander would then need to step in to help. To put that number into perspective for you, that's about twice the population of Naperville. So all because we are so blessed to have these programs that exist in your schools, 108 families now know how to help in those situations. So I'm excited to share that $39,754 were raised just last year alone to help us broaden these heart healthy messages, to continue to advocate for PE to stay in schools in Illinois, to expand research efforts for even like the tiniest hearts like Finn's. So we're grateful for your support of these programs in your schools. I'm lucky to help Your incredible staff at your elementary schools execute these. It was a very special year, and I'm confident that Mike's mission will continue to be a meaningful message to Batavia families. I talked earlier about some of the benefits of the schools, and one of them was a grant opportunity. Nationwide, we offer $400,000 in grants, and I'm excited to share that this year, Rhonda Gamlin at Grace McWayne, longtime AHA volunteer, was selected, and I'd love for her to share a little bit about her vision and her earnings. So thank you guys all again. We're looking forward to another Heart Healthy year together. Oh, and I have this for you. I have a certificate with your impact on there as well.
Just put it right in front of you.
So the grant I wrote this year was something that I have a passion for. Growing up, I was a tomboy, and there's things that we have here in our suburb that I always want the kids to do. I love the kids getting out and doing things outside and learning things. So we are doing fishing at McWayne, and I will actually be starting it next week. We have the poles lined, ready to go. We're gonna do some fishing going on with our 1st through 5th graders, so we're gonna see how this goes. And it's also great because I've actually asked the high schoolers, the 2 high school students that went on to nationals this past spring, to come in and help too, and they've actually like, yeah, we wanna come help, and we wanna to encourage the kids to continue fishing. So my goal eventually is to maybe even have an after-school club that we can walk to a park. There's a pond in our neighborhood that we can walk to and have some fishing with some real hooks. We're not doing hooks yet, so not to worry. So, but that's what we were doing at McWayne, so thank you.
Thank you guys all. We're so grateful. Who helped do the program. So we're just really grateful, and thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was very exciting news, and thank you for coming to share that with us today. All right, public comments. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Education. If anybody wishes to address the board this evening, please see our recording secretary and submit a form for addressing the board. Please put your full name and address on the form. In general, the board will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during public comment. This does not mean we do not take your concerns or comments seriously. The board values active community participation in district endeavors and encourages people to engage with the district using the appropriate channels and systems designed with your input in mind. Board members are not involved in day-to-day operations of the district and cannot engage in district business individually. If you have specific questions or would like to further engage with the district, you may submit your questions using the link on the website, and an appropriate staff member will communicate with you. Our BPS 101 Communications Manager, Holly Deachman, will now explain the procedures for public comment and call up the speakers.
Thank you, President Meadows. We have one public speaker today, Julie Strasser. If you would like to head up to the podium, you'll be limited to 3 minutes. The 3-minute timer will be projected up here on the screen. So please watch that as you're going through your presentation. At any time during this meeting, written comments may be submitted to our recording secretary, Cindy Rodriguez, here at my right. And please be respectful to all people in the room. Thank you.
Sure. Julie Strasser, Reading Specialist at McWayne School for 25 years. On August 2nd, Governor Pritzker signed House Bill 2396, which requires all school districts to provide full-day kindergarten by the 27-28 school year. However, Batavia had a full-day kindergarten program 22 years ago, starting with the 2001-2002 school year. It ended in June 2012. During that time, we served as a model for other districts who sent educators to observe. Since then, there has been a patchwork of programming, including a partnership with the Batavia Park District and the current half-day enrichment offering. Batavia has gone from one of the first districts in Kane County to offer a true full-day program in 2001 to one of the few districts not having it. During the last 20 years, our young learners have experienced increased academic demands and related social-emotional needs. Unfortunately, our kindergarten students receive an education that creates an artificial separation between these two. Half the day is spent in enrichment with play-based exploration taught by persons identified as instructors who are paid $17.64 per hour. The other half of a student's day is dedicated to academics taught by an educator identified as a teacher and compensated as such. However, this intentional division of programming does not support the fact that young children need play and exploration infused throughout their day to optimize learning. Our 5- and 6-year-olds, and some 4-year-olds in August, on their first day of school have to start learning how to navigate between 2 different classrooms in which the work and performance expectations are different. They also immediately experience 4 midday transitions. At 11:30, when a second adult comes into the kindergarten classroom to supervise them for 20 minutes, then to lunch recess for 40 minutes, then back to a supervised setting with a third adult for another 30 minutes, and finally to the enrichment program at 1 o'clock with a fourth adult, their instructor. Other than the 40 minutes for lunch recess, there are 50 minutes of instructional time being lost. It has been said that Batavia provides educational equity for our students. However, this is not true for kindergarten because they don't receive 6 hours of daily instruction by a certified educator who is employed as a teacher. They receive only 42% of that, or 2.5 hours a day. My question to the school board is this: how can our kindergarten students receive more than 2.5 hours of instruction per day provided by a certified educator who is employed as a teacher to achieve educational equity with students in 1st through 5th grades? I invite you to come to McWane, particularly between the hours of 11:30 and 1. Thereafter, consider visiting with our enrichment and kindergarten teachers before or after school to gain further clarification. I believe the district should prioritize a return to true full-day kindergarten free of charge as soon as possible and not wait until the 27-28 school year. This will create educational equity and provide the essential time for foundational learning. Our students' educational lives depend on it, and we owe them more than 2.5 hours per day of certified instruction from an educator identified as a teacher who is compensated as such.
All right, next is, that was it, Holly, right? Nobody else? Okay, thank you. Next is BPS Partners, BEA, Todd Swanson. Hey, Todd, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. Happy September. This past month has been a very busy one. One of my first orders of business this year was working with admin to make sure our district committees and leadership teams are fully staffed and represented. And thanks to our new collective bargaining agreement, each committee has a BEA co-chair to help lead these committees alongside the admin co-chair. This brand new concept is one that we hope will provide more transparency and voice in the organizational structure of our district committees. And speaking of new committees, Tom and I both have been working together to ensure our committees are ready to function as collaborative teams this year. One new collaborative structure that has not yet met, but one that we are both focusing on together, is the DCC, which is the District Coordinating Council. Again, coming from a recent bargain and part of our new contract, the DCC is really an oversight committee. That makes sure that each individual committee is functioning, productive, collaborative, and most important, transparent. This committee is made up of the BEA officers, the superintendent, the chief officers for finance, curriculum, and human resources, and the co-chairs of RAC, PLAC, and CAC, while being co-chaired by Tom and myself. One of our first tasks is to have the DCC jointly craft guidance for our committee co-chairs that includes role responsibilities and expectations. One of the greatest opportunities this new committee will afford is a monthly reporting of our collaborative teams that goes beyond a shared committee report generated at the end of each committee meeting. This dialogue that we will be able to have in seeking clarification and asking questions is just one of the ways that the DCC has a fantastic opportunity to build a system of collaboration that ensures transparency and clarity through communication and uses that to begin to build trust that our collaborative teams are operating at their highest potentials. Another priority that Tom and I have been actively discussing is with the Equity Committee. Our number one priority for this committee is to help provide a structure that will be transformative and inclusive of the needs of all students, families, and staff that our district serves, while looking at what our most marginalized and vulnerable groups need in the short term, while also beginning the methodical planning for long-term systemic changes that BPS might need. The need for this work is crucial, and we look forward to a renewed sense of commitment and empowerment for this committee and their work this year. Moving on to a couple of recognitions, I'd like to formally recognize Batavia High School and the Art Department for being recognized yet again as a school of distinction by the Illinois Art Education Association. As amazing as this recognition is, the significance of this award becomes most apparent when we realize that this distinction was given to only 3 high schools in the entire state of Illinois. Our art educators at the high school are to be commended, but we also know that in order to get the students ready to excel at the high school, our middle school and elementary art educators play a vital part in this distinction as well. So congratulations to all of our incredible art educators in BPS. Now, Sue's not here tonight, and I was looking for her to kind of bookend my next thing here, but I'm going to speak just for 1 second about the Flag Day Monument Ceremony that's coming up on October 1st at the Peg Bond Center in City Hall. The $17.77 campaign is fully underway, and that's a great way to donate to help cover the cost of one of our school's bricks that will grace the monument itself. If you go to the website flagdaymonument.com and look at the top right corner of the homepage, you'll see a contribute button, and that's where you can designate a school for your $17.77 to be donated to. And if you have a high school student that's been here through their entire course of education, you could donate $17.77 for their elementary school, and $17.77 for Rotolo, and $17.77 for the high school. And that way you can get recognition for all the schools that your family's been impacted by while they've been here in Batavia. So help spread the word about the celebration on October 1st and the $17.77 campaign. Finally, the BEA would like to send a special shout out to all of our paraprofessionals and our support staff. Our buildings and classrooms would not function without the support of these individuals every day. You come in early to open our buildings, you clean and restock them, you provide educational and social-emotional supports to a wide variety of our student population, and the BEA wants you to know that we see you and not only appreciate you, but recognize the important role that all of you play each and every day. It shouldn't take an official day of the year or a week in the year to recognize you for all you do for our students and the staff of BPS. So to all of our paraprofessionals and support staff, thank you for what you do on a daily basis in all of our schools. And to wrap up, I hope that I will see all of you along the parade route tomorrow, recognizing our homecoming parade celebration this week. Happy homecoming to all of our staff, students, and families, and go Bulldogs. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Todd. And next is Vespa. Laura? It's you.
Good evening. I'm Laura Versillo, and I am the treasurer of Vespa Union. And continuing our highlights of paraprofessional support group, I'd like to, I have the privilege of introducing to you a remarkable Vespa employee, Ashley Case, who has been an integral part of the Batavia Public Schools community since 2011. Ashley has worn various hats during her time here, and her journey is nothing short of inspiring. Ashley primarily serves as a special education paraprofessional, dedicating her time and expertise to support students with unique needs. However, her commitment extends beyond this role. She's taken on a substitute teaching position for intervention and even taught Lego robotics during summer school sessions. What makes Ashley's story even more fascinating is her journey to becoming a special education expert. She graduated from Batavia High School and pursued her teaching license in mathematics education at NIU. But it was when she took up her para job that she fell in love with the puzzle of working with students and their diverse needs. Determined to enhance her skills and make a broader impact, she earned her special education endorsement, becoming certified to teach special education as well. Beyond her professional life, Ashley is a devoted mother of 2 future Batavia students, and one of her daughters currently attends AGS as a bitty bulldog. Her dedication doesn't end in the classroom as she tutors mathematics for Batavia students at the library, ranging from elementary to high school levels. During the summer, Ashley wears a different hat, working at Fermilab. Her role as the head counselor at camp allows her to train new staff, plan activities, and lead field trips. She also is the driving force behind the incorporation of STEM activities, which align perfectly with her teaching background. Ashley's passion for education doesn't stop at the school gates. She loves dressing up and attending the Renaissance Fair, even wearing math-themed dresses to school to convey her love for mathematics. Her enthusiasm is infectious, inspiring students to embrace the subject. What motivates Ashley to be a part of BPS is her genuine love for children she works with every day. She sees them as unique individuals, each with their own set of needs and abilities. Ashley is a pillar of support and a safe haven for these children, consistently offering them a fresh start and a chance to make better choices. One of her most cherished roles is changing students' perspectives on math. Her colleagues at Louise White School have been incredibly supportive, allowing her to co-teach, run intervention groups, and be a second teacher in the classroom. Many students have told her they have never liked math until they had the opportunity to work with her. Ashley uses her math background to help students build foundational skills and tackle subjects that may have been challenging for them in the past. One remarkable memory she holds dear is the 5th grade honors night for the first student she worked with for 3 years. The father of that student expressed his gratitude for Ashley's impact on his child's education, affirming that she had truly made a difference. Ashley's dedication goes far beyond the classroom. She has taken on various responsibilities that paraprofessionals often handle, all with a smile on her face because of her love for children. From writing behavior plans to teaching STEM clubs and assisting in the library, Ashley is always there to lend a helping hand. If there's one thing Ashley wishes to change about her job and the paraprofessional job, it's the awareness of how crucial her role really is. She believes that highly qualified individuals are needed to work with special needs children, as these students require patience and expertise. She hopes for paraprofessionals to have a more prominent role in staff meetings and to be considered as an integral part of the team. Ashley Case is more than a special education paraprofessional. She is a dedicated educator, a loving mother, a treasured friend, and an inspiration to her colleagues and students alike. Her unwavering commitment to education and her genuine care for the children make her a true asset to the Batavia Public Schools community. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next, our student ambassadors. You guys ready?
Hello, everyone. For refreshers, my name is Zara, and this is Dorit. And we have a lot of exciting things happening this week. Homecoming week is this week, as already mentioned. A lot of fun spirit days. Had a lot of fun seeing a lot of Adam Sandlers at the school. Many wearing hats, some with mustaches. I dressed up as well. And there was also Class Olympics, which happened yesterday night. Seniors won. Kudos to the seniors. And a lot of fun games, tug of war, volleyball match. It was overall a really fun event. So excited for this week.
In honor of the Spirit Week, we also had Paint the Town, actually in this exact district building in the front. I don't know if you guys seen it. We had a dance team decorate, which is really good. And overall, this event was just really nice to unite clubs and in a creative way.
And some successes this week. Marching band and color guard won first place in Class AA and outstanding visual and general effects. So kudos to them. They did an amazing job at NIU, actually. And the Science magazine, they launched their club as well. It's called Stellarium. I went to their first meeting, actually. Very cool idea. They published a magazine, and students are writing articles, so very amazing opportunity for kids.
Staying connected. We had a football game last week. We did really well. We won 45-21 against St. Charles North. And our football team has also created a media team to get the students connected more. And we had 3 seniors make it to finals in merit scholarships, which is really nice.
Yes. And that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job, guys. Okay, next is committee updates. Anybody have any committee updates? We can start down there with Rob and work our way this way.
I do not have a committee update, but I have received the invites to the committee meetings, which I will be attending.
Okay, thank you. Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
I think everybody's getting their sea legs under.
I had 2 meetings, so. I'll make
Wow,
up
look
for
at you,
everybody else.
overachiever.
So, I was able to attend once. The first one was on August 24th, and so the update from that, Steve's gonna touch on some of this in a little bit, but I'm just gonna read the notes. But the committee reviewed the financial tracker and the fund balance of the self-insured medical plan, and after reviewing the data, it was determined for the plan to keep a neutral fund balance, the rates in the calendar year would need to increase at 7.4% to maintain a level fund balance or neutral fund balance, but the committee reached a consensus to recommend to the Board of Education, which we'll vote on, the increase of 5% for the calendar year of '24, and then review again next year depending on what happens with those increases. And then the committee also reviewed the IRS increase on high deductible minimums from $3,000, $6,000 for an individual family to $3,200 or $6,400. And Steve's going to talk about this again in the consent agenda. And that was from the 24th, meeting on the 24th, and then we had a meeting on the 7th, which I was not able to attend, but I talked to Josh and Tony, and basically what most of the discussion was about open enrollment, which will be occurring, and also to work on programs to encourage participants in the health plan to participate in the health screening, so they can hopefully get better outcomes, and we can detect things earlier, so that will save us costs down the road. And that's all I have.
Okay. Anything from yours? No meetings yet? Yep, same for me, though most of them seem to be invite sending out, so we'll be starting soon, so expect next month to have a little bit more update. Next is consent agenda. According to our board policy, we designate a portion of the agenda as a consent agenda for those items that do not require extensive discussion before board action. These items generally are routine, recurring, and can be grouped for efficiency. Steve, is there anything you'd like to share before we take action?
No, yes, I will go over this real quick.
Thank you, sir.
5.1 and 5.2 is the approval of our August 22nd, 2023 regular meeting and closed session minutes. 5.3 is our personnel report. 5.4 is the payroll and bills. 5.5 is destruction of our closed session recordings from March 8, 2022. We had a couple of donations in this report. Ruth Coyne donated $1,500 for the BHS dance team, and Office Depot contributed over $2,000 for the HC Storm Adopt a School program. 5.7 is the approval of the required administrator and teacher salary and benefits report on our website. 5.8 is the approval of our insurance benefit plans, which Aaron mentioned. 5.9 is the support contract renewal for our VMware. And finally, 5.10 is the approval of our consent agenda.
Anyone have any questions for Steve?
I have a question,
Sure, Raquel.
really quick, and I'm sorry, but so on the, let me pull it up. On the personnel report, I looked for Mohawk. On page 68 it says Mohawk USA. And the only thing I could find was the flooring. And I don't know what Mohawk, what it actually is.
Is this on the bills?
Yeah, on the bills.
Bills, okay.
Like, so I just don't, so it says Mohawk USA, it says education regular programs, it was like for $11,000. But I couldn't find it, I don't know what Mohawk USA is, so I was just curious.
I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head. If you have questions like that, though, feel free to reach out. I'd be
Okay.
happy to answer them.
That's it.
Okay, great. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron, second by Raquel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. All right. Tom, is there anything to report, share under reports? Treasurer reports, one of them?
Treasurer reports, I'll turn it over to Tony. If
There's
anything.
nothing out of the ordinary in the treasurer's report. Apart from, I suppose, the investments. We currently have $33 million invested, and as best I can tell, that's a record for us in terms of the amount invested and the proceeds, and which we'll discuss briefly later on when we adopt the budget.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Tom?
That's it.
Okay. So for action, we have a few different things. One of them, special education contracts. Who's leading the discussion on this one, if anybody? Thank you, Brad.
So this is not in consent because we've not done this before, but there are 2 special education contracts due to staffing shortages that we need to contract out to get evaluations and nursing services covered for the district. So there are 2 contracts there that we'll be executing, given your permission to help cover psychological evaluations and nursing evaluations.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So have we used the Center for Special Education before?
No.
No. And it's only for a school psychologist?
Yeah, so they
Is-
bring in a team of school psychologists that do observations and complete evaluations.
Okay. So is it just like they're gonna come in like once a year, or is it like monthly, or like how, or is it just someone like that's contracted out throughout the whole year?
There's a certain number of evaluations that we're contracting them for, so depending on the type of evaluation, they would have to do certain classroom visits to do observations, psychological testing, all the pieces that go into those evaluations. But it depends if it's an initial or a reevaluation for those particular students.
And then for the nursing one, is this for the district nurse, or is it for a specific, like a school one?
So the certified school nurse is a part of the IEP process in looking at health concerns. And because we're down a certified school nurse, we would be using this company to kind of augment our one certified school nurse to get evaluations completed for students.
So, and then I don't know if this is like, do all of our nurses in school have to be a school certified nurse?
No.
We just have to
So-
have one on hand?
Yeah, so we have most of our school nurses that are in our buildings are RNs, or they're a certified nursing assistant. So that's kind of their qualifications, but then you have to have like a teaching license in order to perform the evaluation. So our certified school nurses, which are a part of the BEA, those individuals have both a nursing license and a teaching license. So they're very highly qualified, and they're part of that evaluation process when there are medical needs that are identified through the IEP process. So they'll review, at a kid's annual review, they'll review all the paperwork and make sure it's not a health concern that's impacting the student's ability to learn within the classroom. So it's an important part of that evaluation.
And just, so I read up on the candidate for this certified nursing. If we don't find one, could we offer her a position, or is that against the contract?
I don't know that for sure. We are definitely looking for a certified school nurse, so if you know any, we can take them. But oftentimes when you contract out, you're precluded from hiring that person because they have a contract with that particular agency. But I don't know
Yeah, I
if
mean, I read
that's
up
the
on her,
case in
and
this one. Yeah,
I like her.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah,
it's a
okay,
hard to find position.
I bet.
Any other questions from anyone else?
So our hope is this is sort of just a one-time fix because of staffing shortages. This isn't the plan moving
I'm hoping,
forward,
yeah,
right?
this isn't an ideal situation, but
Right.
we have timelines that we need to meet and
Right.
evaluations we need to complete.
Okay. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the contracts with the Center for Special Education Services for school psychologist evaluations estimated at $36,000 and to Sunbelt for nursing evaluations estimated at $70,000.
So moved.
Aaron, second by Raquel. So motion by Aaron, second by Raquel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So moved. an adoption of the fiscal 2024 budget. I'm gonna go out on a limb and ask if Tony's gonna be presenting this per chance.
I am, as a matter of fact. So this is the final stop on our tour of the fiscal year 2024 budget, of which we're almost nearly a full quarter into the fiscal year. We will be at the end of this month, and we're required by law to adopt a budget by the end of this month. We wait as long as we do, primarily to get as much information as we can so we can build the best plan possible, because there's still information coming in on a daily basis that we could continue to fine tune this budget. And it is indeed just a plan, and as information changes and the plans change, we certainly account for those as well. This budget totals, would you actually open up the summary, please, Holly, and go to the highlight page? It totals some $132 million in revenues and a $130 million in expenses. So we expect overall our revenues to increase by 4.7% over the prior year, and our expenditures to increase by 5.2%, if I remember off the top of my head correctly, if you scroll down just a wee bit further. And that would yield a surplus of $2.6 million. That is approximately $400,000 more than when you saw this budget last month in August when we held our public hearing. Overall, our salaries we expect to increase in total by 8.1% to some $50 million, and our benefits to increase by 4.5% to some $13 million. We also have a contingency of $500,000 for any unanticipated expenses. Overall, our staffing will increase by 2.7 FTE or full-time equivalents to 666.8 FTE. And while our student enrollment is declining slightly by a little bit more than 2%, that will improve our pupil-to-staff ratio to 7.7 students per staff members. And I happened to look back to 2015, which was the first year that I served in this role, and that number was, if I remember correctly, 9.8. So that ratio has gone down by basically 20% in these now almost 9 years and almost that decade, which is a pretty significant increase in terms of staffing available for students. As I mentioned earlier, the investments are probably the highest that we've ever seen in the history of Batavia schools. It's some $33 million at present. That is yielding a return on those investments of about $2.2 million. So our surplus of $2.6 million would not be a surplus of $2.6 million if we did not have the opportunity to invest that money. And as I say, I feel like a broken record, but it wasn't that long ago, 4 years ago, where we wouldn't have had the opportunity to invest that money because we didn't have it. In fact, we had to issue tax anticipation warrants because our cash flow was so small that we needed to borrow money to make payroll and bills in the later parts of the school year. And fortunately, that's not the case this year, and we're able to invest that money and get a considerable year. My concern moving forward is that if we continue to see expenditures increase that outpace our revenues, that will continue to put pressure on the amount of money that we have available. We won't be able to undertake those investments, and we'll have to make some other decisions to manage our budget prudently. So if the market changes, or if we spend that fund balance, for example, on the facility improvements that our schools desperately need, that money would not be available for investment. Apart from that, this budget, as I note in the kind of the cover report that's in board docs, requires us to transfer funds money between funds, and they're outlined here. We can't spend money on long-term debt outside of the debt service fund by law, and so to the extent that our long-term debt isn't funded by bonds that are directly part of tax bills, we have to move money into that fund to pay them. Those are noted in the report. In addition, we move money from the education fund and the operations and maintenance fund to the capital projects fund to pay for the work that we're undertaking at our schools to improve them. And notably, in this current budget year, would be the work at Rotolo Middle School for improvements to the kitchen, which was original to the building when it was built in 1992, and to the improvements to the entrances at Alice Gustafson School and J.B. Nelson School. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
Questions?
Raquel. I'm just gonna say, Raquel, do you have any questions? No, I'm just kidding.
It's fine.
Go
It's
away, go
perfectly
away.
fine.
I want questions.
I ain't hating. So quick question, actually a few. In the, I think it's in our budget, the curriculum and instruction, is that including our resources too in that? Like text, like our resources, does that include our resources?
Yeah, there are several places that resources come from. They come in part, like, probably the largest amount of resources come from the curriculum and budget, but they also come from individual school budgets as well.
Okay. Because I saw like, so it said curriculum and instruction, and then on B11 it said textbooks. So I just didn't know like how it's separated out.
It is, there's many ways, what we try to do with this budget document is take what are about, I think, 8,500 different expenditure accounts and present them in such a fashion that we make meaning out of it, and we look at them through different lenses and basically different arrays, so that we can kind of construct some understanding of where the money is indeed going, but it gets confusing in terms of which budget exactly is what. But generally speaking, when it comes to resources that are used directly in classrooms, you're gonna see it in a function, like a regular programs function that we talked about last month.
Mm-hmm.
On 1,100 is the number that we associate with those accounts. And they would either be in a school's individual budget, so in the control of an individual principal, or they would be under the control of Brad in the curriculum and instruction department.
Second thing I have is when you broke out the school budgets, and I'm just curious how you got that number. So like J.B. Nelson has the highest population of students, but they don't have the highest number of dollars. So I just didn't, like Grace McWayne is this, they have of the schools, they have the lowest population with 312, but they get basically $148.35 per student, where J.B. Nelson gets $142.70. So how do we?
It's an astute observation. Thank you for looking at that. So there's two things that go on in the individual school budgets. One is that we allocate school budgets on a per-student basis, but also on a student needs basis. And so various indicators in terms of student needs, whether it be students with individualized education plans, or students who might be English learners, or all the various at-risk indicators, we provide additional money for those students. And so it's on a per-student basis, but also we try to use an equitable allocation approach that gives more money for students who have more needs. In addition, we allow principals to carry money over from year to year to a certain extent. There's a limit. And the reason being is because, a budget is a plan, but we don't want principals in particular to have to spend money in a given school year just for the sake of spending money. So we allow them to carry up to 10% of their allocation over to the next year. And so it can kind of make it look like some school is getting more money than another, and it just is more likely the case that either they have students with more needs than the next school, or they're carrying money over from the prior year.
So they could have carried like, Grace McWay could have carried like $3,000, and so it was, technically it was $3,000 less, but then you add that $3,000 and that's how they got their dollar.
Exactly.
And then I'm just really curious, do we have to break out regular and special ed pay? Is that a requirement?
Yes. We have to account for all of our special education expenditures because of a federal and state requirements for what's called maintenance of effort. And so the reason being is that we get money from the federal government and from the state for special education services, and we cannot reallocate money from our local sources away from those students. We have to basically maintain effort from one year to the next. We can't spend less than we did in the prior year, and we can't supplant funding.
And then I was just really curious, what schools have summer school? Do all the schools have summer school, or
That's
only?
a Brad question.
The high school we've done various things over the years. With summer school, the high school runs a credit recovery summer school. We've not found a lot of success running our own summer school, so we've tried various things over the past couple of years. We try and run our EL summer school, which is a virtual, so they're connecting with their teacher over the summer, but we don't run like a full-blown summer school.
And then, when you say like, so we have down, the population is down by, well, enrollment will be down 2.2 to the, what is it, 5,000?
That's a forecast.
137. So was that last year's enrollment, 5,137?
That's our estimate for this year.
Just an estimate for this
We
year.
won't know officially, we won't have an official number until October 1st.
Okay. Okay.
I have a comment, I usually do, but I want to thank again Dr. Inglese and his team for putting this 55-page document. This is available to the public for review. And again, you don't have to be an accountant to understand it, although it does go into quite a bit of detail. So I think I would encourage everyone, during the past referendum, there was a lot of talk about transparency. This is an example of transparency. 67% approximately of our revenue comes from the local taxpayers. And we take that very seriously, that we're using that money wisely. And so I would encourage everybody in this room or watching to review the document. I want to point out a few high-level things that I observed that I'd like to share. But one is that we are living within our means. Our surplus is from our investments. So we're living judiciously, and we're trying to be very good stewards of the money. Another reason why I say that is ISB is a institution that provides a financial profile school for districts across Illinois. They rate districts on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the best, 1 is poor. The scores are based off fund balance to revenue ratio score, expenditure to revenue ratio, days cash on hand, percentage short-term borrowing remaining score, and percentage long-term borrowing remaining score. And we scored a perfect score of 4.0, which is recognition. So that's something that we should be proud of. Tony, your team should be proud of. We all should be proud of that. And so right now, while the financial outlook is good, there are definitely challenges that we have ahead. One is our facility needs that are still very pressing. And, we've done a good job of managing our funds, but we are going to have to really make some really tough decisions. And while our good financial standing, in my opinion, gives us some opportunity to do improvements, we can't miss. And so, I know we're going to be engaging the community for next steps on that, but that hasn't gone away, and we're going to have some hard decisions to make moving forward. But outside of that, I just want to say again, thank you for your team for putting this document together. Again, when people talk about transparency, this is it right here. This is Exhibit A of transparency. And so I would encourage you to share this with other people, and again, thanks for your effort on this document.
So I have one question, Tony. On our investments, do we use a service, a financial advisor?
We do, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we use PMA. There are financial advisors.
okay. And is there a requirement, like a certain amount has to be in the cash versus like a CD or something like that? That's just,
There's not a
we take their
requirement in
advice?
the amount, but there are requirements in terms of, the board has a very specific policy on this, in terms of what we can invest our money in, and they would have to be collateralized and insured, so that there isn't necessarily the fullest of, like a perfect guarantee of principal, but we're not investing in stocks or anything like that, where there isn't.
Looks all pretty conservative, okay.
Generally, it's CDs and US Treasuries, or some form of a CD. That would be FDIC insured.
Right.
Anyone? Oh, nope. Go ahead.
FDIC insured up to $250,000.
So, yeah, we have to compartmentalize things, yes, exactly, which makes the investments all that much more complicated, especially when you have 33 million of them.
Well, Rob, you asked my question, so I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, I've seen, PMA is a well-known financial kind of advisor group that is kind of ubiquitous, really, across all districts and taxing bodies. From libraries and everything else. So it's a good crew, and they don't tend to steer people wrong, from what I've heard. So thank you. All right, one last chance for any other questions on this? Literally, for this budget?
And by the way, we'll ask next month for your permission to begin work on the 2020.
Yeah, so enjoy the next 29 or so days. All right, if there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2024 budget, including its respective fund transfers, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Aaron and Raquel. Motion by Aaron, seconded by Raquel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Strategic plan. Is this you, Tom?
This is me.
All right, Tom, please fill us in.
All right. 1 second there. All right. Thank you, Holly. All right, so, I've been here for about 3 months and have had an opportunity prior to even that, to, start getting engaged with our community, both the internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. During the course of that time, it's been amazing just to hear about what people love about our school district, what people hope for our school district, and then also what people wish for our school district in terms of opportunities for growth, opportunities for some change, et cetera. At opening day, when we were able as a school district to get together and celebrate the start of our new school year and be welcomed in by our union leadership, our students, who I want to point out are still here because they're awesome, they're fully engaged and wanting to see what's happening. And then a brief talk from me, and I say brief, right? But one of the things I shared is that there was going to be, and there would be an opportunity for us to engage voice of our staff, of our students, and really understand where we would like BPS 101 to go. There's been some mulling about, does a new superintendent wait a year to get their feet grounded a little bit more and continue to meet with staff, continue to see students and meet with students, et cetera? Or, do you have a good sense after a start to be able to possibly say, let's engage now? I'm presenting to the board tonight that I'd like us to engage now. I would prefer we move forward instead of waiting. A part of that is due to the fact that I do think I've had a lot of staff, a lot of administration, a lot of students, a lot of our collaborative partnership groups outside of the district be really transparent and open and honest with me and share the great, that some things could be fixed and what we should be going after, right? So tonight is an outline of what I'm proposing to the board, a strategic plan process for 2024. And in this process, I'd like to talk about the fact that this process would be touching our current strategic plan, which has in its entirety been worked on as an entire project for around 10 years, if I understand correctly. Parts of this plan have been touched by the district over its time, but this seemed like a good opportunity for us to talk about what kind of new clear path are we looking for and get the input of all of our stakeholders for BPS 101 and provide us a map and some goals and outline as to where we want to go next. One of the things I think it'll help us do too, and again, this comes through some feedback and conversations that I've been having, is giving us the ability to align in our district to talk about those collaborative relationships and what does that look like and how do we align when we talk about certain things as it relates to teaching and learning, as it relates to equity and education and inclusiveness, as it relates to what our facilities needs might be. Those are some serious themes that have been coming out during my opportunities to meet with people. These are not things I'm manufacturing. These are opportunities I've been hearing from everybody, including parents, when I go to different events, or I'm at the bell ringing event at Louise White and had a couple come to me and ask me, what am I planning to do about our buildings and facilities? I was like, give me a minute. We'll figure something out. So, and then the other idea is that this will be an opportunity for us to identify what opportunities we want to approach and address as an organization, is how we grow. So in terms of the process itself, there's going to be very similar looking overarching components. We will take a look at what our vision and mission for the district is. We're going to identify areas that might need to be addressed for growth. And then we're also going to identify what our resources are. identify those, and then prioritize what are the resources that we know. We just talked about the budget and approved our budget for next year. We've talked a little bit about what those financial resources look like. We also know, because those are investments, if there are priorities being identified that we need to spend money on, some of those dynamics change, as Tony alluded to, and we may have some decisions we have to make. Again, part of that will come through the feedback that we're getting, so we understand what the priorities are, and that we're not being left making these decisions in a vacuum, right? And the last thing is, this is an opportunity for us to engage all of our stakeholders. Get them at the table, have people provide their input, give us ideas about how we want to approach these things strategically. Part of the process is also going to include, which is part of what I'm so excited about, is leveraging our students to be leaders in this process. A lot of people who sit down with me, I tell them that our business is people. Our business is our staff. Our business is our students. That's our product. That's what we do. That's why we exist. So for me, I'm really excited to say that I want all of our internal stakeholders, our adults, our staff, our administrators, to be engaged in the process and not working the process. And what we'll see leading is our students. And I'm really excited by that, because I think it gives our students an opportunity to be part of the process in a different way, to help cultivate the conversations that are happening in our vision sessions, and talk about their ability to not only lead our process, but then engage with their own peers as well, so that we have student input and student voice in our strategic plan process. I'm saying process a lot right now. So then the second part to all this is our stakeholders. So the question is, well, who will exactly be invited? In BPS 101, the promise was made and the promise will be followed through on. We're gonna have all staff given the opportunity to participate in our process, to engage in these sessions. We're gonna give students the opportunity as well. We want student voice there, and we'll have that, and then our administration. The one group I didn't put in here, but I'm gonna make sure that you're very aware, board will also be part of the process. Board will also have the ability to weigh in and be part of that voice in shaping what we're looking at for feedback. From the external groups, this is not a exhaustive list. This is just an example of some of the folks that we want at the table, but there's gonna be more. But as you can see, this encompasses a lot of groups that we've been meeting with, that I've been meeting with, or that we've engaged with, and that we're gonna continue to tap on them and find ways to make sure that we have their voice represented during our strategic plan process for the year. One of the ways we want to ensure that there is accountability, transparency, and just making sure that we're following what we said we were gonna do is the creation of a steering committee. So the steering committee is the group that I'll meet with and report to regularly. And as you can see up here on the slide, these are the groups that will be represented. They'll have a key representative there, so the steering committee will be the body that will review, like, for example, the raw data that comes from all of our listening sessions, our vision sessions. They'll take a look at that and then look at what we're synthesizing, so they can say, yeah, no, that is completely accurate to what we're seeing from the raw data as well. We agree. This will also be the group that takes a look at drafts of the plans as we get through the process. They'll be able to provide feedback. And then if there's something there that the steering committee feels isn't consistent to what they're seeing, that's an opportunity for us to pause and talk about that and understand what's happening there. Because again, the biggest thing is when we get done with this, I personally do not want this to sit on a shelf and just check off and say we've done this, right? This is something that I expect myself to be held accountable to by the board, and making sure that this becomes a living mission of what we're trying to do as we move forward, right? So that means that all of these stakeholder groups have to believe that this was done correctly, this was done transparently, and this was done to make sure we're doing what's best for our students, best for our kids. In general, so then in the first semester, the timeline for this current year, obviously we're here tonight talking about this and then seeking board approval for us to begin the work moving forward. Then through the remainder of this semester, a lot of the selection process will begin in providing you know, an opportunity to get to know students, start selecting our student facilitators, start rounding out who will be the key stakeholder leaders in the steering committee, and then providing training. So the plan is that as we near the end of the first semester, we will train all of our student facilitators so they know what it looks like to lead these processes. And given that we'll look for different age ranges, what I'm excited about is an opportunity for our students to be mentors to younger students in our district as well. So there's like this multifaceted approach of how our students will be leading together. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then as a steering committee, planning on having a meeting so that we can talk about what our protocols will be as we start this work together. How we build the themes is gonna come through not only just what I shared with you in terms of my own, you know, observations and qualitative data from meetings I've had, but we'll also be pressing surveys out so that we can make sure that we're consistent to what the feedback seems to be for our themes of what we want to approach during those vision sessions. So we understand what opportunities we are trying to strategically want to address, right? And so that we have a little bit of a narrowed focus. So that'll come through feedback that all of our stakeholders will be able to provide feedback to. That'll be made available to everybody. Then as we roll into the following year at the start of the second semester, we will commit time. So the question might be like, how do we get that voice? We're gonna commit our January and April Institute days so that when we have all of our staff together, people don't have to worry about passing on commitment, or passing on this opportunity because of personal commitments after work or anything like that. We'll be using a portion of our Institute days for this process. During the months of February and March, we'll use those sessions, or those months, excuse me, to provide sessions for all of our other stakeholder groups. And that's when, once we start getting all that feedback, come back in April, we'll be able to provide a draft so that people can actually see what has been synthesized after the steering committee has taken a peek at this too, and gives it that, you know, thumbs up to move that forward to the rest. Again, the goal being to be as transparent as possible. And then at the April, Institute Day, we'll have staff and administration and students be able to provide us with feedback on what they think of that final draft. Does it capture what we have seen and heard? And as a steering committee and myself, we'll reconvene one more time to look at that feedback, decide what adjustments we may need to make, then by June, bring this back to the board for a final approval, and from there, move forward. I'm doing wait time. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, for your student, I forgot what you call it, committees, or, how are you going to decide that? You know, are you taking students from just different groups? What is the plan for that? Do you have a plan for that?
I do. So part of that is, you know, using the building's student leadership councils. I've already begun getting invited to some, so I can start building a relationship with some of these groups of students and getting to know them. The other thing is me kind of trying to leverage some of our sponsorship groups, you know, the adults that know certain students, because what I want is a really good cross-sectionality of representation on our student facilitation teams, so that we're not having just, you know, a general type of student. I want all various backgrounds to be represented through this process. Yeah, great question.
We're not taking their time away from the classroom
Correct.
for this, are we?
Right.
We are not.
No.
Yeah.
I'll just add that we had a little meeting before the board meeting tonight, Mr. Kim and I, with our student ambassadors, and I can say that what's exciting for me is that we are elevating student voice and we're making them active participants. And, you know, the strategic plan is our North Star. It's our mission statement, basically. And so I can say Tom's got a lot of enthusiasm, but when he's talking to students, he really does, that energy comes through. So I have full faith that you're going to engage our students. We're going to get a good response. And I'll say again that, you know, if people want to have a voice in our school district and what's going on, we're going to be reaching out for leaders to share their opinions and their voice and recruit others. So what an excellent opportunity for the community to get fully engaged with what we're going to be doing for the next decade or so, probably. So it's an ambitious timeline, I think, but I'm excited to see us get to work on
not leaving myself any room by saying, this is a tentative timeline, trying to stick hard and fast to it so that we are here, we're ready to go, let's get this work done. And, you know, I think that's, as some might say, you know, our students don't have time to wait. So let's get after it. Let's hear our feedback. I know, in talking with teachers from every single building, you know, I think there's an energy of wanting to engage. And I think this is gonna be a great chance to do that.
Anyone else? Come on, Raquel, you have one question? No. No?
Leave her
Wow, I know, he's picking on her. You have a cost of not to exceed $20,000. Can you give us a little bit of what you see that would be?
Great question, yes. So, you heard me mention, I want our administration, in the experiences that I've had, the strategic plan process typically engages using an external consultation service, or you use them, but then the administration is asked to kind of lead a lot of that work on the front end. I want our administration to be part of the voice and feedback as well. I want them to be part of the process, not necessarily leading the process. And I think because of that, so I am asking the board for that authorization to utilize some help with people to just help me with the background work, set up the survey, set up the training, you know, help me take a look at as to how do we organize all that feedback and data that'll be coming back. But then, again, like I said, as part of the leadership process, it'll be me and the students. Okay. And I think, board, you've seen some estimates prior to me arriving as to what some consulting services look like for these things. I think you'll see that our ask, it's not to exceed 20,000. I anticipate it to come underneath that, but comparatively speaking to other services, this is a very, very fair ask.
For the community that might follow along, will you be giving updates along the way of the data that's pulled in? Okay.
Yep. In fact, my plan would be during the, like the administration report at board meetings even, that we're just talking about this publicly, just kind of providing that update for the community so that anyone can see it. I don't want there to be any secrets to this.
Great. Any other questions? Not hearing any. I will entertain a motion to approve the strategic plan process for fiscal year 2024 with costs associated to the process not to exceed $20,000.
So moved.
Rob beats Aaron.
Second.
All right. Danielle. So, motion by Rob, second by Danielle. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Last motion on a very motion-heavy night, approval of weight room floor at high school. I believe, Mark, you're leading this for us today?
Good evening, Board. The weight room floor, as you can see in my report, is in need of replacement, to say the least. This really wasn't planned to be this soon. It was kind of out there a little bit. The repairs just are not holding, so we repaired it in early August. And I know with the board, you saw some very recent pictures of it. In the last month's time, it has not quite got back to where it was when we fixed it in August, but it's getting there. My fear is, it's just not fear, but it will just continue to get worse, so that's why I worked with the company to see if they could actually do the install over winter break, and they could, but there's a timeline to get it, and that's why I'm here tonight presenting it. So we do need to get this ordered so they can get it done over winter break, because as you know, winter break, you know, is only a couple weeks, and there's a lot of pieces that have to come together to get this done. I'm confident that will happen. This weight room floor first started needing repairs, I would say about 3 to 4 years ago. When I say repair, more than small repairs, more extensive, shutting the weight room down for a period of time. It's a process to get the glue down to do it. It is continuing to come up. The current weight room floor is in squares, kind of similar to this carpet in here. And so those squares are starting to come up. They're bubbling and they're actually lifting away from the subsurface underneath. And as you do it, you pull the whole square up. You actually have to cut them down to get them back in because of what the floor is doing. It's a recycled rubber product that was originally put in It was part of the referendum in, well, it was 2009 to 2012, so that, I think the weight room, if I remember correctly, my research was opened in the fall of 2010. So this product's about 13 years old. It's probably a little bit sooner than it should, but usually these floors have about a 10 to 15 year span. So, yeah, it's time, but it's a little quicker than I had originally anticipated. The product that we're going to is not a squared, it's an actually rolled product. So it doesn't come in individual squares. So there's some benefits to that. It's a product that I've gone and seen. You'll see it in lots of weight rooms, college, high school. It's kind of a, you know, in today's terms, what is normally used today.
Any questions for Mark?
What's the shelf life on the new?
There's a 10-year warranty.
Is it 10 year?
Yeah, which is pretty typical. There's some less, some more, but 10 years are pretty typical with this type of, you know, flooring.
Will the roll versus the squares help prevent that bubbling more than likely?
I mean, that's, yeah, it should. From different contractors and different flooring reps I've had in, it's their expertise. It sounds like it's because of the type of flooring that was put in. And each one of them says, oh, that's the recycled rubber. It's like, yeah. It was kind of like, okay. But each of them had kind of said the same thing as I've come in, and like, yeah.
And this isn't recycled, the roll isn't recycled rubber, it's just,
Apparently it's a type that was used during that time. I don't know a lot about that, but the new stuff is not. And it's a 8 or 10, I think it's a 10 millimeter product. It's called a 10 mil.
And this space is kind of used
Oh, yes.
all the time.
Yeah.
Year round. I'm
yeah.
shocked how, I knew this before that you started putting it together, but I heard through my kids about how often the space is used.
Yeah, and that's kind of trying to get the time to really go in there. If not, you're closing the entire thing down. So that's why when we did the repairs, it was in that first part of August. That's the week that really nobody's in there, or, well, nobody should be in there during that week. First weeks, we tried to get in there and do as much repairs as we could.
Zara, how often are you in there?
Oh, at least 3 days a week.
Training, right?
Yeah, it's an important resource, so. And
It is.
So Mark, that warranty is 10 years, that's full, right? Like anything that happens,
Yep, it's
anything.
product
no-
warranty, correct.
No cost to us.
Right. So if there's any defects with the product, anything like that.
Okay, any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the purchase and installation of a new weight room floor for Batavia High School from Kiefer USA in the amount of $114,610. Was that Danielle? Danielle, second by Raquel. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mark. And administration comments, anything, Tom, would you like to kick them off?
I did, but Todd did it again. So I'm ending the BPS comments at the beginning of these meetings. You're stealing this is like 2 months in a row now. And then our student ambassador stole some of my thunder too. So this is no good. In all seriousness, I do appreciate it. I think it just goes to show there's a lot of good things happening, but that there's a lot of good communication happening too. And that we're continuing to get better at that. So just to reiterate, obviously, yes, you heard some great things that are happening at the high school and some recent recognition, including our graphic arts teacher, Kathleen Tiriton, who is part of that award of distinction for our high school. But she herself will be awarded as the Illinois Art Education Association Secondary Art Educator of the Year. So that's an amazing recognition. We heard about our wonderful marching band and their recognition at the NIU competition as well for Best Visuals, Best General Effect. We have 3 students at the high school who are finalists for the National Merit Scholarship in Caden Johnson, Alexander Stinovich, and Daniel White. One of the other announcements, in case you haven't noticed on the windows, we have homecoming week, right? So, yeah, as we noted, right, parade, right? Thank you for showing us the schedule. And one thing we did not say out loud is that today is officially our IT Professionals Recognition Day, Appreciation Day. So I just wanted to say thank you to our entire technology department for all of their work that they've been doing. I think, it's been amazing just how much they do and how many tickets they keep taking care of as they come in, the work ticket system. So, Dave, thank you to you and your team. Kudos to the work. And then I just want to thank Zara and Dorit for taking time. It's homecoming, there's activities, but they have chosen to stay here and be with us. I want to thank you both. I didn't put too much pressure on them in our meeting with Aaron, but I expect when they leave BPS that they'll be creating world peace and solving world hunger. These are two amazing kids, and they're going to do some great things. I want to thank our union as well. With the strategic plan process and rollout, I've been talking with our union leadership and giving heads ups about this process and just how incredibly supportive they've been about just bringing us to a place where we're elevating our students in their leadership and their voice, but also an opportunity to engage all of our stakeholders. So it's very excited about that. And I'm just, yeah. Oh, I get excited about it. So I'm going to stop rambling because I'll just keep rambling. I'm done. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Board comments? Rob, do you mind if I start with you down there and work your way back to me?
Sure. I guess not too much this month here, but just wish all the students a successful homecoming week, and I think the dance is on Saturday night, so hopefully everyone will have a good time this week. Thank you to Tony, Steve, Brad, for all your contribution to this meeting. A lot of great information, so appreciate that. And to reiterate Aaron's point about the transparency, I think that's been very good, and appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, lots of recognition from BA, BESPA, student ambassadors. This side over here, I think the only thing I have to add in this time, I do want to recognize one other person, Amber Jersa. I've recognized her previously when she received the North Suburbs Region Teacher of the Year Award. She was also one of 12 finalists for Teacher of the Year. I'm mentioning her again today to recognize an outstanding article written about her by the National Education Association's Opportunity Coalition. The article was about her professional and personal journey. She's really worked to advocate for every student to feel like they belong. And what that provides is a better ability for a really a better education when our students feel like they do belong. So I wanted to recognize her for that. That article is really cool. So, we have amazing staff and students who are continuously giving us a reason to sit up here, admire them, and recognize them. So, just awesome. Yeah. That's my only add in this time.
So again, I always say it every meeting, but I want to thank everybody who participated in the meeting tonight, our BPS partners, student ambassadors, members of the community, and then the staff who spoke. Again, it's all valuable input. It's essential for us to do our work. I give credit to everybody who comes to the meeting and stays for the entire meeting, so thank you for that, and everybody who's watching online or who watches, reads about it later on. But again, we need that feedback, so we encourage that. Again, I want to say it's really exciting to see our students being recognized for academic achievement in the arts and athletics. I mean, our kids are really thriving, and to that point, the people I want to recognize are really our families and the people that are supporting them. I mean, I think one of the reasons our kids are able to thrive is that they're able to focus on these things. And I see a lot of parents who are doing a lot of hustling to support these kids and get them to the activities and to provide them the resources so that they can, perform to their best. So, tomorrow at the homecoming parade, they'll be driving floats, and I'm sure they're helping with those things. And that's a lot of thankless work to help our community celebrate our children. So I just want to thank our families again. Batavia families always step up and rise to the occasion. And then again, I just want to say, I hope homecoming is fun and safe for everyone. It's a fun night, but also it can be a stressful night. And so I would just say, look out for each other and take care of each other. And I hope that, Sunday morning we can all look back with fond memories. So thank you.
So I say congratulations to Grace McWayne for the Heart Challenge Grant. Congratulations to Daniel White, Kaden Johnson, and Alexander Siminovic for being named the finalists for the 2024 National Merit Scholarship Program. Congratulations to the Batavia High School for being recognized as a 2023 School of Distinction by the Illinois Art Education Association. And then also September is Suicide Prevention Month, so my sympathy goes out to anyone who has lost someone to suicide, have struggled with suicidal thoughts, or communities that have been impacted by that. Just remember that 988 is the suicide hotline, so please call if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts. Also, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm proud to be Mexican descent. I'm proud of all the contributions that the Hispanic and Latino communities have made, and I can't wait to see how the future generations continue to contribute and to keep bridging the gap to equality. And lastly, happy Homecoming Week. Please be safe at the game and at the dance, and go Bulldogs.
Thank you, Raquel. Very nice. I won't belabor too much. Only thing I'm going to mention again is thank you for everybody that did come today and spoke, and our student ambassadors. You guys did a wonderful job as usual, and I kind of see a leveling up of the game. And if you're not ready for it, Tom will make you ready for it. So good job for keeping up with him. Thank you to our union partners that came and spoke. We do appreciate all the kind of communication, collaboration, and that is something that we look forward to carrying on with and is very important to us as well. On a personal note, I realized when the marching band went off to place first at NIU, which this is the first Saturday in 9 years that I did not go do that. So I do want to just kind of bring back the point that talked about all the effort that goes into that. And that's not just parents, that's teachers and staff putting their support behind these kids and giving them their opportunities to succeed, and giving the parents the resources to be able to place to build props, keep them out of the weather, keep working when it's wet, have the resources and the time. And that's the thing that people don't always realize about, that kind of relationship is not just between the teachers and the staff and the admin. It's also between the kids and the parents and the teachers and the staff and admin. And that's something that I find really unique about Batavia. And I'm really proud that that's kind of going off without a hitch, and the kids are seeing the rewards of all that labor, whether it be football games or art awards or anything else. So thank you again. I believe that would be it, since I'm the last board member to comment. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Aaron,
Second.
second by Raquel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None here. It is now 8:22 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you again, everyone. Todd.